Yeah, sorry. I think something happened and the video ended. I hope that you're able to see the screen. So let's quickly go through some basics. That the internet is without a doubt one of the best resource available to us, but unfortunately, uh, it's also extremely dangerous if we are not aware about the basic cybersecurity. I mean, you know, we as parents teach our kids how to swim, but while we are teaching them how to swim, we also teach them the dangers of drowning, right? The reason being that we know uh, that there is a danger out there if they don't take precautions. Same with, while crossing a road, we teach them about zebra crossings. We teach them about look left, look right, look for the walk sign, and then cross the road. So why not about cybersecurity? So the basic is that while we surf the web, or if we watch a video, maybe on our mobile or a desktop or a TV, or we text or use a smartphone or play a game, the chances are that we are always connected one way or the other in the digital world. So if I have to talk about our digital world, the connected world, and if I have to split this into two, say uh, my offline world and my online world. In my offline world, I can see that I have school friends, I have family friends, I may have a family which is connected with me on social media, and I may have work colleagues. Now, we can very clearly see that whatever we talk with our friends in school is something that my family friends or work colleagues or family is not going to know about. Whatever I talk or do with my family is something which my school friends or family friends or work colleagues is not going to know about. But in an online world, things are different. There is no demarcation. The moment I post something on Facebook, everyone who is in my friend list is going to know about that. And if I have made the post public, it's not only going to be my friends, but my friends, as well as the general public, even someone who is not a friend with me on that social media platform is going to know about it. So this is the basic difference between the offline world and the online world. But before looking at what precautions we need to take to be safe, it's good to understand, like I said, the dangers, because if you have identified the dangers or the consequences, you will be in a better position to secure yourself. So let's talk about cybercrime. What is cybercrime? We all know that it's like a crime which is committed using a computer and an internet. Simple. Good. That's good enough. But the crimes are now getting more advanced, and platforms like WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, net banking, etc. are also being used. So basically, cybercrime is now becoming more of a criminal activity, or rather, I would say it has become more of a criminal activity that involves the use of a computer or other cyber device. So in short, a computer is used as a tool, or a computer may be used as a target. These crimes are majorly classified into three different categories. The crime can be committed against a person, that is an individual, where the crime could be something like harassment via emails, it could be cyber stalking, it could be email spoofing, issuing threats, etc. I'll be talking about few of these in detail later in the presentation. And majorly, this kind of crimes against a person have a potential to harm in a psychological manner. Then there are crimes which are committed against a property. For example, unauthorized trespassing through cyberspace or transmission of harmful programs to bring down a computer, like a virus or a ransomware, or unauthorized possession of digital information. So stealing someone's credit card information, for example, or using a malicious software, a software which is used to commit a crime to gain access to confidential information of a person or a property or a business. And the third category is called cyber terrorism, which is more towards damaging the critical information infrastructure. It can include like hacking of government websites, military websites, or spreading disturbing propaganda. Let's look at the various types of cyber crimes. So if I have to spell out each and every type of cyber crime, the list is endless. There's a lot of techniques, a lot of ways by which these crimes are being committed. But for this session, not each and every type is going to be important. What I have tried to do is I tried to basically pick up only those which we as parents should be aware about, so that we can properly educate our children and tell them about the good and the bad of using internet. The first crime uh, which is very important to know about is cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is committed when the internet is used to bully other people in a deliberate, repeated, and a hostile manner. These words are very important. Deliberate. It means that the person committing this crime knows that they are committing this. They repeat this so that there's a psychological effect on the child, and then ultimately it may go hostile. It could be done via text messages or images. It can be personal remarks posted online. For example, talking about someone's body, or calling someone fat, or calling someone ugly, and things like that. So these are hate speeches, or it's like instigating others to dislike or posting false statements in order to humiliate the person. Cyberbullying is very, very serious. Many a times it has been found in a lot of cases that the kids simply don't talk about it. Even if they are a victim or falling prey to this kind of attacks, they normally sulk in a corner. They don't talk. They fear to come out into the open. Parents kya bolenge? This is what they think. So when this kind of attacks are done, cyberbullies may also disclose the victim's personal data. For example, a real name of the person may be posted online. Now, this could happen in a chat room, or this could happen pretty openly on the internet. But cyberbullying is something which is not prominent and not visible unless and until we are observing the behavior of our children. Cyber stalking is another cybercrime that every parent should be knowing about. So stalking, as we all know, generally involves, following some person or appearing at a person's home or a place of business without appointment at odd hours, make harassing phone calls or anonymous phone calls, leave written messages or objects, or even vandalize a person's property. I mean, there have been many cases in US where, cyber stalkers have basically actually gone onto the property and vandalized the gardens of people. So cyber stalking, unlike the stalking that happens in the physical world, refers to the use of the internet, email, or any other electronic communications to stalk another person. It is also referred to as online harassment or online abuse. In cyber stalking, what majorly happens is that the person who is committing this crime follows the victim across the entire internet, be it social media platforms or the kind of searches they do, or even hack the devices, pull out information, and then disclose this kind of information openly in the public. And to stop doing all that, they may even demand probably some money, some favor, or they may just do it for fun. Copyright. Now, this is not as serious as the previous two, but internet copyright infringement is a legal, does have a legal penalty associated with it. If a person attempts to use or distribute any other person's work who has exclusive rights over it without authorization, it can lead to copyright infringement. Some common types of copyright violations may involve illegal download of movies, music files, or even, for that matter, pirating software applications. And posting of such copyrighted work as own writing or the graphics, if used in any other publication without the written permission of the owner, may constitute to be an internet copyright infringement. The reason why I'm bringing up this topic, though it is not that lethal, but it has been found and it has been observed that our kids go onto the internet for seeking an aid in studies or using some information from the internet for some project work or preparing some documentation, etc., etc. Now, our children may not be aware about this, but if we have educated them, then the least they could do is, even if they are using such material, the least they could do is give a proper credit line to the original owner. In case if the kids are publishing something back onto the internet, and if that copied content has a proper credit line given to the original owner, things may not get that serious. Pornography or child pornography. Now, this is the most serious crime, cybercrime, that we see on the internet. The world The governments of the world have come together to stop this. And we all know, in fact, that kids may have encountered, knowingly or unknowingly, some obscene or sexual content while surfing the internet. Now, it's not only about the surfing part of the crime. The crime actually is also committed towards children. The internet is highly being used as a medium to sexually abuse children and make them viable victims. Some stranger in a chat room may start talking to our children, posing probably as a teenager or a child of a similar age, so that the age barrier is broken, and they'll soon start becoming friendlier with them. And then they'll try and win the confidence, lure them into doing something which is obscene. And then these recorded or shared videos or photographs could be sold by them over the internet, or they may be used for the simple plain blackmail. This is the most serious crime, and there's a huge penalty, maybe even life terms of imprisonment for people who are targeting children for this kind of activities. Email spoofing. So spoofing attacks basically include, send something over to the victim via email, a plain SMS, or altering the IP or the web page of a website, and then use that to trick people into divulging confidential information. For example, debit card or credit card data, or doing something that they would usually not do, like installing a malicious software. I mean, many people would have come across websites, where there are so many pop-ups coming that your computer is infected, download this free antivirus software and blah, 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 blah. But I mean, there's nothing free in this world. Somebody has to pay the price. In email spoofing, the most common email spoof that we have found is majorly related to financial frauds. So there may be an email or an SMS, which may look like it is coming from your bank, but it actually is not. And the request could be that, you have been requested to update your profile and verify your email address or phone number. And it may look like it is coming from the bank, but it actually is not. It is not coming from the bank. When you click on the link, it may take you to a website which probably looks very similar to the website of your bank, which is trusted by you, but it may be used to divulge your confidential information from you. So that's email spoofing. Lottery scams. I'm sure many of you who are watching this webinar would have received an email once in your lifetime, which may be saying that you have won a large sum of money in a lottery. Or it could have come from a reputed company like Coca-Cola, that Coca-Cola is giving out a lottery. And this kind of frauds are generally called an advance fee fraud. And they generally begin with an unexpected email notification, which says that you have won so many pounds or so many dollars and the person who has sent this email may ask you for processing fees or transfer charges. That to transfer this, let's assume a 1 crore amount to you, you need to pay 1% as processing fee. So here are the bank details and you can start processing that. Or they may even connect with a phone call and lure you further by talking that this is how authentic this is. The victims who actually pay the requested fee will probably find that they receive further communications. So once you've paid that 1%, then they will receive further communication that, okay, now there's some government problem in transferring this, or the bank is asking for further charges, maybe currency conversion charges and things like that, which we generally call as unexpected expenses. And this kind of expenses basically are never there. There is no lottery. So the moment you see that you have won a large lottery sum, simply delete the email. Don't even try to investigate. Because so many people across the world have fallen prey to this kind of simple tactic. Phishing. Phishing is not, it is pronounced phishing, but it's not actually catching the fish. Phishing is the act of sending an email where the attacker falsely claims to be a legitimate business, and in an attempt to scam the user, they want private information which can be used for identity theft. So this phishing attacks majorly are involved with collecting financial information or updating KYC information. When you click once again onto these kind of emails, these emails will redirect you to a website which may look once again authentic, but it is completely bogus. There may be fields, some pre-populated fields which could have been collected. For example, your first name, your last name, your place of birth or where you stay, which city you are in. All these things could be already shown onto that kind of a web page. And this information could have been collected from your social media profiles. You may see that because they have all this information, you may feel that this is pretty authenticate website, but it is not. This kind of information, which we generally in the cyber world, we classify this as PII, personal identifiable information. And this information can be easily available from the internet. I would simply suggest, to see how much information you have shared, simply go to Google, type in your first name and see what kind of results come up. I mean, if you have checked into Facebook that you are traveling from year to year, or if you have put too much information in your about section or your profile page where you have shared your phone numbers and then forgot to simply secure this by just going to your security and permissions and allowing everyone to see it, you have made that public. So the problem is not Facebook, the problem is not Instagram, the problem is not Pinterest or Twitter, the problem is not internet, the problem is us. We are not securing our own information. Another type of crime that is pretty common and associated majorly with personal internet usage is cyber defamation. It is when a person basically publishes defamatory matter about someone. So if I am the victim, then someone could have published a lot of defaming information on a website or hacked my entire address book, the entire contact list, and send out an email to all my friends, business colleagues, and the people that I know who are there in my address book, and they would have sent out email to all, which may be, having some defamatory remark, or some cooked up story, or some personal image of mine, which could have been morphed in Photoshop and shared across. So cyber defamation is another one. Then there is e-commerce and investment frauds, where they use false or fraudulent claims to solicit investments or give out loans. So you may receive this over phone calls or in emails, or you may even come across, some products which could be sold on WhatsApp or on Facebook. And for example, in COVID-19 times, I came across many social media posts and WhatsApp messages that this is the PPE kit that they are selling, or this is the sanitization facility, or a sanitizer at this price, or a mask available at this price. And I actually picked up few and tried contacting them. And while talking to them, I actually found them to be quite suspicious, for the sole reason being that they did not want to accept a direct wire transfer or a net banking. The only mode of payment that they wanted was through PayPal, or some kind of a debit card transaction using a payment gateway. So there could be a lot of e-commerce items or investment frauds that could also be worrisome. Piracy, again, something which is very similar to what I said in copyright, though it is not that serious, but the world is standing against piracy. And software piracy is nothing but the illegal distribution of unauthorized reproduction and storage of software or music or videos or publications. Whether this crime is committed deliberately or not, knowingly or unknowingly, it is still illegal and it is punishable by law. So the kind of steps that we should take to educate our children, with the copyright content, we should also educate our children by talking to them about the consequences of distributing or storing or possessing pirated information. So these are basically the crimes, that may affect us, not as a business, but as a family or as a personal user of the internet. Internet is good. I mean, I don't say that internet is risky and it is best to stay offline, because many of these cyber crimes also start offline. So they start offline and then they go online. So it is best to understand these crimes, the consequences that these crimes may have, so that we are more educated towards how to defend towards, or identify and then defend ourselves towards not falling prey to this kind of crimes. So what can be done as a personal defense measure? What can be done? I mean, there may be, some common things like, installing an antivirus software, or, ensuring that we do not give out a lot of personal information. But I put together a couple of tips which probably may be helpful. But before moving further, I would like to say that let's try and understand, before we move towards the defense aspect, let's try and understand what is the difference between security, privacy, and safety. Because when we are talking about defense, We are talking about safety. But security necessarily does not mean safety. If you say that, okay, I protected my phone with an antivirus, or my computer has an antivirus, that doesn't mean that you are safe. It does surely mean that you are secure, but it doesn't mean that you are safe. So security is like protecting our computers and data in the same way that we secure the doors and windows. Whereas privacy is what information goes where it is stored, and who can access it, and for how long. Now, when I talk about privacy, it is us who give it away. It is we who give it away. For example, by simply choosing a check-in on Facebook and posting that I'm traveling from India to London, right? We are giving away our privacy. Now, everyone who's connected on Facebook knows that I am not at my home. And if I have not made this post more private, and if I have shared this to the entire public, then it's even more dangerous. So security, you had your antivirus, you had your firewall, but it was you who gave away your privacy. And safety is our behavior in the ways that can protect us against risk and threats that come with technology. So there's a difference between security, privacy, and safety. Few COVID-19 scams that I came across in just the first 20 days of lockdown. I would like to share this as an additional slide with you guys so that you know what is already going on and what has already started. There are few emails or social media posts or telephone calls going around which are charity scams. Charity is good. It makes us feel good. But before doing the charity, I would sincerely request that you check up whether that charity is genuine. Don't simply act. Spend some time, investigate whether the charity is genuine, whether they are giving you proper receipts or income tax exemption certificates, etc., before you donate. Charity scams are there because they are touching the emotional side of us. But then there are online shopping scams also which are coming out, where people are posting posters selling PPE kits because they knew that this is in shortage. Sanitization material, because once again they knew that this is in shortage. Some preventive drugs which may be associated with Ayurveda or homeopathy, because we all know that allopathy still doesn't have any drugs against it. Or home test kits. Again, this kind of scams are attacking the emotional or the psychological side of the victim. Then there are phishing scams, where an email which is very much personalized towards the victim is shared, and it's impersonating World Health Organization or the CDC or any other reputable source, and then it is seeking sensitive information. By sensitive information, what I mean is your private information. For example, if I have your first name, if I capture your middle name, if I capture your last name, if I capture your address, if I capture your date of birth and the year, if I capture your marital status, etc., I can easily crack a credit card or a debit card. Then there are robocalls, where automated calls are used by the attacker to target a random dictionary of callers, victims, their phone numbers, and these are generally recordings pretending to be from a government organization or some distant family member, okay, talking about some kind of a distress, and probably asking you that, hey, Amazon is has started to deliver food products and essential items in our area, but somehow my credit card is failing and I can't go to the bank. Can you buy me a gift card for say 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees and share it with me on this email ID, so that I can use the gift card to make the purchase and ensure that my family is fed. This is another type of scam which I wanted to make you aware of. Then there is romance scams, again targeting the emotional side or the psychological side. Well, we all have been in lockdown almost 2 months now, and maybe we may be feeling very lonely because we have not been in touch with our friends, or have not been having face-to-face conversations. So this type of scams are again capitalizing on the increase in the internet traffic, because people know, the attackers know, that there's a lot of people right now sitting home, probably in their rooms, not being observed by their parents, feeling lonely, and an easy target. This kind of attacks basically, again, like I said, I'll repeat, are more psychological or emotional. Then there are social media scams where cyber criminals are distributing probably false information and trying to capitalize on panic. So if you comment, or if you like, or if you share, the cyber criminals know that this is your profile handle, and they can then easily start tracking you and your personal information. Coming back, how do we then protect ourselves against all these? First things first, stop using pirated software. Nowadays, most of the devices, laptops, computers come with pre-installed operating system, so those are licensed. Always ensure that you use a genuine operating system. You patch them, both your operating system as well as your applications, because patching them secures your computer against critical vulnerabilities that hackers use to access your device. Ensure that you turn on automatic system updates in your device, because companies like Microsoft or Apple or Google for Android phones basically ensure that these vulnerabilities are plugged in so that you can be secure and hackers cannot use that exploit to hack your device. It's not only important to update the operating system or the applications that you use, but even keep your web browser plugins like Flash or Java, etc. updated, so that your system is protected. And this is directly connected to the security aspect that I talked about earlier. Use antivirus protection and a firewall. Don't make heavy investments, but don't use the free ones also. Like I said, there's nothing free in this world. You may get probably a pop-up on a website that your computer is infected, and they can perform a free antivirus scan for you, or for that matter, you may come across an app in Google Play or Apple Store that this is a free antivirus or something. Don't use them. It is always wise to spend some money towards basic security. Okay, antivirus basically helps to block all the malware and other malicious viruses from entering your device. And always use an antivirus software from a trusted vendor. See to it that before buying, you check if they have a family plan. because family plans are more cheaper. With just giving some money extra, you may be able to secure more devices rather than buying antivirus for all your individual devices or family members. Similarly, firewall is very important. Most of the operating systems have an inbuilt firewall. At least enable that. Windows and Mac OS both come with their respective firewalls, which are Windows Firewall and Mac Firewall. Ensure that they are enabled, because they will help you to protect any incoming or outgoing traffic which is malicious. Not only your devices, but also your Wi-Fi router should have the firewall enabled to prevent attacks on your network. So you may talk to your computer guy, or the person from whom you have bought your computer or your Wi-Fi router to help you with this. Discuss, and discuss. This is what I keep telling people. When we talk about cyber safety, talk to your kids. Talk with them openly. Tell them everything about the kind of attacks that may be going on. Talk to them about cyber stalking. Talk to them about cyberbullying. Tell them that it is very important to keep the family information private, because that is what is going to strengthen the online security. I mean, uh, a very simple case that when I dine into a restaurant, along with the bill, they also present me with a feedback form. Now, my daughter has this habit of filling that feedback form, because I always offered it to her. So in date of birth, she mentioned the year 2. So instead of the date and the month, she also mentioned the year. I started explaining to her that this is not important, because this is not a legal document. It is not a bank document. It is just a feedback form. So from that day onwards, she understood what personally identifiable information is and where should it be shared. Okay. So discuss these kind of things with your children. Make them understand that they should never share their account details, or the full date of birth, and things like that when they are filling up forms, or creating social media profiles or Instagram profiles on the internet. And tell them or help them identify what PII is, what information is personal and what is not personal, what can be shared safely to the public. So discuss about all these things so that the privacy aspect is taken care of. Again, secure the devices, install the antivirus, enable the firewall, etc., etc., because it actually makes it very difficult for an attacker to penetrate a secure device. Also teach children where to keep their devices, especially in public places, because there are chances that the mobile may be picked up or the laptop may be picked up. Teach them not to leave such kind of devices in the public where they can't see that device. Because if a laptop is stolen or a mobile is stolen, it is very easy for an attacker to, guess the password or crack the password or the pin. It is pretty easy. I mean, it would not take more than 24 to 48 hours to do that. But the data that has gone with that device may be highly confidential. As a parent, we can start establishing some set of rules to follow, and we can have those as probably guidelines as part of educating our children, that these are the websites, these are safe websites which can be browsed, these are the applications that can be installed. If children have a mobile phone where they are downloading an application, and they may, before giving all the rights to that application, they can actually go and see whether that application needs access to the camera, whether that application needs access to the microphone or the storage or the photo location of the device. And if you feel that that application has got nothing to do with accessing this kind of permissions, simply block them. So educate children that it's not appropriate to accept all the terms when installing apps on their mobile. The same principles can be applied to social media also, where we as parents can create guidelines and teach them what is acceptable to share and with whom they can connect. I mean, we keep getting so many friends requests, but not everyone could be a friend. There could be some fake profiles also, where an attacker may be posing as someone who they actually are not. So my normal principle is that I accept a friend request when I see that there are 15 plus mutual friends between us, or if I know that person personally, whom I met face to face in some business meeting or at some family get together. Strong passwords is something now that is being mandated. It all starts with using a strong password. Keep your passwords separate. I mean, keep your passwords separate for all your financial or insurance, etc., or investment websites, and use a separate set of passwords for your social media profiles, and use a separate set of password for your business accounts. Okay, so in that case, what happens is that even if one password is broken, right, the attacker will not be easily able to hack your financial or investment related portals. The password should contain at least one lowercase letter, one uppercase letter, one number, and a mix of symbols, and ideally should be between 6 to 8 characters. I know that in today's online world, it's very difficult to remember all these passwords. So what I recommend is, don't put them and store them in pen and paper. Don't store them as clear text, as a text file in your mobile phones or your laptops. Use a good password manager. Use a good password manager which actually can store this kind of passwords in an encrypted format so that they cannot be decrypted. Change your critical passwords every 3 months, and probably the rest every 6 months. And nowadays, Google, Facebook, everyone is offering you multi-factor authentication as an extra step to the login process. So in this case, what happens is that in case, even if your password is hacked, and if somebody tries to access your Facebook profile or your Google account or your Gmail using the email ID and the hacked password, if multi-factor authentication has been enabled, you will receive an OTP or a notification on your mobile device, which you have set. And unless and until you don't input that, the account cannot be accessed. This is very important. For all those, I request, if you have not set up your multi-factor authentication yet, do it. Monitor the online activity. It's very important. I know kids basically get, lot of protective or go into a defense mechanism the moment we ask, "Kya kar rahe the internet pe?" And they would never give us the right answer. And that's okay, because again, there's a privacy thing over there. But it's all about the parent gaining the confidence of the child and talking to them that what are you doing online. See, gaining confidence and talking is the best method. We can do everything else, there would be no issues, but talk is the most important, because if we have gained the confidence, the kids will come back to us and tell us, and they won't be reluctant in sharing what they are doing online. Also, if our children have their own bank accounts, they are old enough to possess a debit card or a credit card, you know, always ensure that we monitor the online purchases as an extra step, so that we know or we can identify pretty early if there's some suspicious activity that is involved. There are few certain guidelines for parents which I wanted to share. Certain is India's security organization, where they have identified a couple of guidelines for parents, especially during lockdown. They're telling that the devices should be set in the living room and accessed in the presence of an adult. Two-factor authentication for devices and the home screen of your mobile should be locked with a PIN. Parental controls can be enabled into all the family devices. So even if you have a smart TV or your Windows firewall or your mobile devices, YouTube accounts, etc., even the Google search engine or Bing search engine, you can simply enable parental control into all these devices or all these browsers to avoid any chance of the child encountering any inappropriate content by mistake. Parents should be talking to their children, and they should take their child seriously if they report any uncomfortable online exchange. Now, this will only happen if we have made that bond and broken the barrier with our kids. Children should also be taught that the internet provides anonymity, so it's not always the same person whom they think that they are talking to. It could be someone else having a fake profile and talking to them, trying to build their confidence and some kind of a liking with them. Certain has also asked the parents to keep a check on the card and phone bills as well, and look for any unfamiliar account charges or any suspicious activity. Last but not the least, I always end my presentation with this, that cybersecurity starts with you. No device, no software, no platform, nobody can help you unless you start helping yourself. So based on the three different differences that I talked about, that is security, where you can secure your devices; privacy, where you identify what you share and what you should not be sharing, and also let all the other in the family know about it, right? And then comes the safety. So remember this, that cyber security starts with you. This is the website. If some parent or a child actually feels that they have been victim to some kind of a cybercrime, or if they have received an email which they think is suspicious, or they want to take some action or want to learn more on what the government of India is doing towards cybercrime, please visit cybercrime.gov.in. You don't need to go to your local police stations to file a complaint anymore. You can just visit this website, and you can file an online complaint. And these complaints are handled by the cybercrime division, where the police have been trained to identify and track this kind of crimes, and they have the tools also which helps with the forensics. With that, I thank you. I thank DPS Bhopal School for inviting me and sharing this few cybersecurity, cyber safety tips with the parents and children and the teachers, of course. I'll now leave this for any questions. If anyone has, please share them in the chat.